Hi everyone, this is Harini, and today I'm going to present a little bit about my conversation with Mr. Patrick Gordon, which I did as part of our professional development interview project. So, who is Patrick? Patrick is currently the Chief of Information Technology Unit at the UN International Impartial and Independent Mechanism for Syria. He has been in the humanitarian relief and disaster response sector, working globally for over 3 decades. He started his career in the corporate world, working for IBM Canada and Bain and Company, but then transitioned to working in the humanitarian aid sector, starting as the Information Communication Technologies Advisor at the United Nations Development Project. He has held various roles within the UN for the last 3 decades, and mainly his roles included specialities like strategic planning and coordination of ICT resources and managing different sectors locally when he goes into a crisis zone and executing the planned activities, working with the communities. So, I would like to highlight a few of his services that he has rendered and projects that he has worked on over all these years. He started working in this sector for the first time in Sri Lanka, which he says was one of his most formidable experiences. He worked during the Sri Lankan Civil War, coordinating strategic responses to rehabilitate women and children from the northern part of Sri Lanka during the civil war by helping them get refugee status, helping them build up a community wherever they were relocating, getting some education resources, so on and so forth. He was then invited by the Royal Bhutan government for the first time to establish internet connection in the country in early 2000s. He was also part of the pioneering move made by the UN to transition from using satellite dishes to establish internet connectivity when you go into a crisis zone to using data containers, which is essentially like a hard drive that you just plug in and then voila, you have internet in a crisis zone within 5 minutes of your landing there. He then did some modeling work using census data to establish what kind of needs and resources will be required during the food crisis in Somalia. And he hoped and helped the local government make decisions using this data. He was not very optimistic or encouraging about the extent of effect this actually had when he did this. He was also part of development of an asynchronous mobile application for collecting health data during the Ebola outbreak of 2015 in Sierra Leone. This is one of the projects that I worked on with him during my crisis informatics class, which I did at the University of Michigan, and that's how I was introduced to Patrick. So, highlighting all these services he has rendered, you can already see that it is in line with a lot of the essentials of public health service that we learned about in this course. So, I'd just like to align them here. So, when he established internet connection and made it accessible in a disaster zone, it is what we call infrastructure deployment, which is in line with EPHS number 10. It says building and maintaining a strong infrastructure for public health. The example of modeling data to establish what kind of resources would be required and then providing it to the local government to make a decision would be an example of local community engagement and partnering with them to improve the public health outcome. The example of collecting health data during an Ebola epidemic in Sierra Leone would be in line with EPHS number 2, which says investigate, diagnose, and address health problems and hazards affecting the population. So there was an outbreak response and health data collection in line with legal and ethical concerns that one would have in this context. To summarize, I would like to highlight two salient takeaways from my conversation with him. He always emphasizes people over projects. So when I asked him what kind of projects you choose and what control do you have over it, he said that he always chooses projects based on the people involved, as he believes that people determine what kind of impact and how much of an impact you're going to have in each zone. And if you don't like the people you're going to work with, you're going to have fatigue and not enjoy the process of what you're doing. And the other thing he said multiple times to me is don't let the fear of common sense stop you. So if something needs to be done, he believes that you act on it. Otherwise, you're going to have regrets and keep wondering what could have been. With that, I would like to thank you for your attention. Hope you gained something from this and look forward to what you all have to share. Thank you.